Okay, here we are, episode 30 of Spiritual Conversations. My name is Candace Sanderson, and my friend here.
I'm Carrie Palmer.
And we were just laughing before we hit the record button. Episode 30. Can you believe it?
I remember having a conversation like, hey, Candy, we should do videos together. And that seemed like it was a couple weeks ago. And now look at us.
I know, it's crazy.
It's been fun.
It
know we
has
both
been
have
fun.
Short hair now, too.
That's
we had
right.
Hair when we started.
We no longer color our hair. Our hair is short. And if we get tired, we cut it off a while ago. In fact,
cut it off.
Carrie mentioned that she had a strand that wasn't behaving well. And I said, I did too. I just cut mine off. So.
People have changed. COVID is definitely changing us.
We make a good team. We're so alike on so many different levels. But the topic today that we're discussing is managerial styles and how people manage their lives very differently from others, and they get different results. Now, most of you all know that I retired a couple of years ago as a psychologist. And in my last job, I was working in a school setting as a school psychologist. Carrie, it's so interesting. I would go into classrooms. There might be one teacher who is very, very disciplined. She's very structured. She or he would have, okay, this is what we're doing. It's up on the board. Everyone knows what the expectations are. And people would have to be just very, very quiet. And you just had to behave. And if you didn't, you would maybe, yeah, it was ruled by fear. Okay.
Yeah.
And if someone was out of place, the teacher would raise their voice, and it was really kind of scary. There were others that would be very structured, but they came from a space of their heart, of compassion, and you knew the teacher was very caring. Now, there was one teacher that I remember once going in to do my observation, and as I walked in the door, I thought the class was gone because they were so quiet. And then when I went around the corner, I realized everyone was sitting there, totally academically engaged, but totally silent. And after a while, I got to know this teacher, and the way that she would get the attention of her class, if the noise level got up, she would stand up and she would say, "Class, now," and she would lower her voice to a whisper. So in order for the students to hear her, they had to quiet their voices. And they learned that when you were in that class, you were there to learn. You were there to be respectful of others. And if you got a little bit too loud, you just needed to
I love that. I've heard of that. Just like some people are so loud and they want to get their point across, but the quieter you are, the more people have to stretch to listen. I love that.
Yes, and you'll see others around going, shh, 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 because they need to hear. So instead of as being the instructor, or, maybe you're giving a talk, being the speaker, instead of raising your voice so others can hear, lower your voice so that others will hear. They will take the opportunity to stop and listen. And to me, this is such a good analogy for guidance. Guidance is always around us, Carrie. We know that. It's like that teacher with that very soft voice. In order to hear what's being shared, we have to quiet ourselves. We have to stop those hamster wheels in the brain from just spitting out new images or new words. We need to slow that down, quiet ourselves so that we can listen to the guidance. It's all about managerial style and what's the best way to connect with your audience. And every once in a while, I'll get a message where someone's almost shouting at me, one of the messengers from above, or above, there's no such thing as above, but one of the messengers from the nonphysical. But quite often, it's just very quiet. And when you quiet yourself, you can engage your antenna in order to hear the soft, subtle messages from beyond.
When I shut myself up, that's when I started receiving messages. I mean, I had to get out of this life of hanging out with all these people and partying and family, just outings and gatherings and always go, 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 to where when I like walked away and I started walking and I spent time silently walking, and I would allow during my walks, it was like for the first hour, I mean, mile, I would like let all the today's do list and all that stuff go through me. But after that, I just like shut. I'd like, you go away. And that's when, and I didn't really meditate at the time. I was like, I just want to be open now. So I shut all those sounds away. And that's when ideas started to come to me, just ideas
Yep.
at that point, like about a friend's business. I had a great idea for his business, and I would just take my phone, record it, and I'd shut off and I'd like go back to silence. But once I shut down everything and all the noise in our head and all the voices that tell us what we got to do all the time, it's amazing how guidance comes in different ways for different people. But if you're quiet, it comes to you.
When you're quiet, then you can hear it. It's
Yes.
always there. Last week, I can remember we even mentioned this. You were talking about going to this beautiful cabin with all of this snow. And then when you walked outside, all of a sudden you just got this download of information.
Yes.
Now, you were meditating without meditating.
Yes.
And what you just mentioned a while ago, Carrie, is you said you just could let your mind go, let those thoughts leave, and then you were open. Well, that's what meditation is all about. Some of us are able to step into that space without going through the steps of take a deep breath. Now imagine this, da 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 da. We're just able to step into the flow, and we can be the flow. And that's when you can listen to the guidance that's around us all the time.
I've been doing a couple of meditations like over the last, because I've got a bunch of Monroe meditations and some other ones that I've had that I've just found in different ways. And I do find when I do the sit down or lay down to meditate, the same result every single time. Oh, I go deep, I go quiet, I go still. But it's kind of like that's what I do all day. But it's when I'm not meditating, because I don't get guidance when I meditate. So just, for a lot of people maybe who think they're trying and they're not doing it right, my guidance does not come during meditation. My guidance comes during my day. It comes when I'm in the woods. When I'm just standing on the street, when I'm walking my dog, all of a sudden I get this like, I need to go do this. And it's just, I'm always quiet. So I hear it when it comes. And I'm sure there's many things that I'm being like pushed, like, come on, Carrie, listen. I'm sure there's a lot of things I'm still trying to hear, but I haven't like listened right yet. But yeah, it's different for everybody. But yeah, just calming down and quieting yourself. It's so subtle.
Yes, but don't doubt when messages come through. I was at a program at Monroe once, and I was meeting with a couple people. We were in the dining room, and we were talking about a previous program we had attended called Lifeline. And Lifeline is when you retrieve people who have just passed over, but they haven't quite made it to the other side, and you help guide them to the other side. And this woman said, I just didn't get much. All I did was retrieve a miner, like someone who mines, and a dog or a donkey or something like that. And I thought, and I said, but it's so easy. You can do it anytime. I said, in fact, right now, while we're eating and having a conversation, we can do this. So I mentioned a man's first name. I knew he was 42. I knew he was an attorney. And I'm just saying whatever comes in my mind. And then the lady comes up with the second name right away. And I thought, that's great. And we continued talking. And I said, okay, and now we're helping him transition. Now, I'm sure there's part in her mind where she was thinking, yeah, right. Well, we Googled the information because we now had his first and last name and his age and his occupation. And there was his obituary. And not only that, there was another aha moment because this man who had passed was from Longmont, Colorado, where she had just moved from. Even when you're conversing and doing something else, doing the dishes, talking to someone, cooking, not me because I don't cook, you can access that part of your mind, not brain, your mind that is quiet and still. and you can filter in those incoming messages, and you can still live by them, go that route, all the while having a conversation with someone else.
It's puzzle pieces you're picking up.
And once you get all the pieces together, you see the completed mosaic, and it's like, oh, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
So our takeaway from this is there are different management styles that we live by. And depending on your own management style, learn to tap into the wisdom that's all around you. If it's not working for you, maybe you should tweak your management style. Maybe you should learn to settle in, listen to the wisdom of your heart. But once you get that message, embrace it, be thankful for it, and go with the flow. So thank you all so much for joining us. And until next time, goodbye and subscribe.
We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Bye.
Woohoo.